Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a presentation of the Dota 2 Champions League Best of 3 series between Speed Gaming and Na'Vi. We're going into Game 3 of 3, an awesome series so far. New meta 6.79, and so far it's been a doozy of games. Still a little bit one-sided one way or another, but the bottom line is that these guys are very active and is providing some very entertaining games. So I love the gank-oriented meta, I love the roam-oriented meta, and the breakdown of these lanes has been very, very interesting so far. So excited to see what they draft up next, but who knows? We'll have to see as it evolves throughout this series. Anyways, thanks for tuning in once more. Again, I am Blaze, casting this off alongside Skim. How's it going, man?
Hey man, good to be back, and as you pointed out, the first two games kind of one-sided, as you mentioned, once Speed Gaming and then Na'Vi, but I hope this time around it's maybe a bit closer. Again, both teams still have to adapt to the new patch, so I guess we can expect completely different drafts this time around, although I still think the Night Stalker is going to be in the first pick or ban phase.
Yeah, a lot of potential with that hero specifically. Interesting that Na'Vi still considers the Bat Rider to be first pick material and kind of showed that he still has his potential. Didn't necessarily win the lane, but didn't have to. As long as he wasn't getting routed by like a Magic Stick nuker, he was able to be stable, get the blink at a decent time, and still play his role very effectively.
And Speed now taking out the Lich by themselves, kind of interesting to see, because Na'Vi with first pick, maybe still picking up that Night Stalker, valuing him very high. I really don't think you want to play against that. I mean, I think Sing Sing tweeted out with like the vision change, it's just horrible to play against that. So Na'Vi have shown that they like to be flexible with that hero, because they've once put him up on an aggressive tri lane, and in the first game it was a dual lane, so yeah, I still think that can work.
Yeah, there's definitely different ways to lane it and make things functional. I'm surprised we actually haven't seen even more diverse heroes. There's a lot of heroes that got changed. One hero support specifically that I thought would be very powerful would be a Lion, because of his Hex being, I think, the longest duration for an instant cast, and so that's a really, really big deal in my opinion. But still, there are other things about the hero that may or may not make him desirable. But for right now, the Night Stalker remains the consistent pick. These guys love to have that pressure, and so far it's been kind of tossed around between Funnick and Havos. Not seeing any Dendi Night Stalker yet, so either way, whoever it's on, it's been working to some pretty good effect, and we'll see how well it's used next time around.
Yeah, and Na'Vi, it's not like this is the hero that suddenly came out of the blue for them. I mean, Na'Vi, like 2 years ago, they picked Night Stalker constantly. They really used the hero to great effect with they balanced it around on Dendi, Havos, even at some point AA was playing it, so Na'Vi definitely know this hero, so I think this could be a first ban material in future matches, but right now Na'Vi still picking up. Speed Gaming have two heroes to pick up. Sadly, can't pick up the Clock. I think Clock is one of the best pickups against Night Stalker, because he can kite him around really good with those cogs and the Battery Assault, so
yeah,
let's see what they're going to pick up.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of things used to pretty great work, but they're going to kind of go with their tried and true. Aoi 2000 Visage, supporting that up. It's pretty much his favorite hero. I mean, he tried to even, when he was on Dignitas, carry a couple times with Visage just because he loved that hero so much and was so darn good at playing him and microing him. So just having him in the number 4 role now, allowing him to be very active with that hero, it's really, really fun to see. So not exactly a hard counter to Night Stalker, but if he can get up a couple of stacks of his Gravekeeper's Cloak, he'll be able to survive the ganks and then turn around for some massive damage.
Yeah, and getting the Grave Chill up is also kind of nice to have. Just slow him down, drain his attack speed. So Speed Gaming go for the Chen, which is for the first time in this match not banned. So both teams value this hero very high, and both teams have players that can play him very well, and seeing as Speed Gaming have both Visage and Chen, it's most likely going to be Aoi on the Chen and Visage being played by Paladai.
Sure. Yeah, very, very viable as well. Micro-intensive no matter what, and in this situation, it gives them a huge amount of early game momentum, either in push or in gank. If they get some good creep spawns, they're going to have so much potential to move about very actively with Smokes of Deceit. So I expect, unless the other team plays very, very carefully, a Smoke of Deceit will almost guaranteed net a kill. So that's a really, really important thing to consider. But Na'Vi has selected their core. Now we get to see what they're looking for supports for the most part, and maybe a single solo hero. Timbersaw, for example, has been banned out by Speed, but Puppey has pretty much an open pool.
Yeah, and they can still rotate between having Night Stalker in the mid lane or in the carry positions. So it's going to be difficult for Speed Gaming, I feel, to actually direct their bans towards Dendi or Hobos because, well, at this point, you can't really be sure who's going to play what. And I think going with the Timbersaw ban is a safe option here.
Yeah, I mean it's decent. It's just in my opinion that Kurokai and Puppey have such great potential on a few specific heroes that, for example, you don't want to go up against an Enchantress if you have your Chen. There's been so many games in the past where just because the Enchantress maxes Enchant, she's able to steal more Chen's creeps than he can persuade himself, and from there you actually kind of neuter that hero's potential a little bit. So if Puppey wanted to do that, he has that potential. It goes well with the push Nature's Prophet, or they could just go for any of the other supports, because right now, like I said, the entire pool is open, just about.
Yeah, Nagasiren also still in the pool. Maybe she hasn't even been touched in the first 2 games. I guess the nerf to her was too strong. Riptide having a slightly smaller AoE and costing more mana, I think. So maybe the hero's not as viable as it used to be, because it used to be a first pick hero.
Reserve time.
Yeah. So I actually can't really justify the Nagasar not being picked up as much, other than them wanting to do things a little bit differently. She has great movement speed. She has great potential. She didn't get hit that hard in the patch, a little bit here and there, but really she still can control Roshan very effectively. She still can fight very actively. I honestly think that she's still a very high tier hero, and I don't think there's much reason to be avoiding her other than the fact that they want to try something new.
Yeah, well, I think I just checked up. It's actually Ensnare that got his the mana cost increase, not Riptide.
Sure.
Could be a huge hit. I guess that's a lot to work around with in terms of well, managing your mana pool. If Speed Gaming didn't have Visage and Shen right now, I would say Nagasiren could be a good pickup against Night Stalker and Nature's Prophet. Just the Ensnare is really good to have against those mobile heroes. But yeah, Speed Gaming, they're looking to get those carries up. Maybe even carry Visage, who knows. Speed Gaming, one of these teams that just go with crazy pickups and strats. I mean, they are the ones that brought Spirit Breaker as a support in. They had, yeah, very different and crazy drafts throughout the whole last 3 months.
So going with the Luna here, a really cool pickup with a lot of potential in the right situation. The Moonglaze will just kind of clear out the waves pretty easily against Nature's Prophet, but the most important change to note is the change to Moonglaze recently. It, I think, completely opened up this hero as far as potential. The Aghanim Scepter change is like, you know, here, I'll take it, but I really don't think it's going to make that much difference competitively. The Moonglaze, however, a completely different story. If you think of her going 1 versus 2 in like a jungle environment or anywhere where the creeps aren't going to be nearby, she's going to shred through people, not just with Eclipse, but with the glaives themselves, bouncing back and forth and just delivering so much damage. And it's a hero that can be played very effectively by Eternal Envy. Getting a couple of core items, just get a Yasha up, that's enough right-click damage, and suddenly you're in the mix of things. So I really do like that pick. I don't know if they needed to pick it this round, because I don't think Na'Vi would have prioritized it as highly, but nevertheless, very strong.
I agree. The hero has become really strong, and with Chen, of course, makes for a great pushing lineup as of right now because of the aura and the glaives to just chew through these creep waves. So Luna, I think it's a good pickup, but as you mentioned, I'm also a bit, well, I'm questioning this early pickup right now because Na'Vi still can kind of pick against it, but maybe Speed Gaming just feels very safe and just want to secure the hero early on because they still have a lot more plans hiding in their pockets. Na'Vi once more, go with the Keeper of the Light. I think that's a good pickup, looking at this pushing lineup with Chen and Luna. And it showed in the last game, whenever Speed Gaming tried to get a tower, would just Puppey immediately TP there and just illuminate it and push gone.
Yeah, it allowed them to go for the slow Roche. It allowed them to kind of keep their map under control, where the exact opposite was happening with Speed Gaming. They couldn't withstand the push. They couldn't actually branch out and go get a little bit of gold from across the map. Keep it light, kind of continuously push the waves back in the other direction and made sure their tower stayed alive, and they had map control. And that was really important for heroes like Night Stalker and Bat. So, yep, Night Stalker probably going to try lane with him again and just spam out that void continuously with the Chakra Magic. And that's going to help him for CS, help him for harassment. And on top of that, they could go for the Nyx Assassin, but Speed Gaming say otherwise. They say, we had enough of that try line last time around, taking it from your fingertips. Nyx Assassin in the hands of Speed. But that does mean that they have what would be considered 3 supportive heroes, so most likely a Nyx Assassin on the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm not sure with the recent nerf to the Nyx Assassin. I mean, it's nothing too big, I feel, especially for a competitive scene. I mean, now you can't really hit the Impale on the target, you have to hit it on the ground. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to play around it. It's most likely going to be Nyx Assassin in the mid lane. I mean, people still argue about how Visage can be played in the mid lane as well, but I really don't see the viability of that, so... yeah, Nyx versus what looks to be Nightstalker at the moment. It's a matchup that doesn't really... It's not too bad for the Nyx Assassin. Melee versus melee, and Nightstalker, of course. Well, he can throw out this harassment.
Ooh, nice.
Well, scratch that, Viper.
Yeah, I definitely think that Nightstalker was going to be in the tri-lane, so we were looking for something for Dendi to play. In this case, we're looking at Viper. Great hero, completely buffed in this patch, and not only because of his skills reduction, but as the environment changed. He doesn't need a bottle. Bottle got nerfed. He doesn't worry about crowing. That flying courier's not going to be there. So instead, he just gets to spam out 0-second cooldown orbs, allowing him to control the lane effectively by maxing out his Nether Toxin instead. So I really look forward to this. It's not like a great counterpick versus the Nyx per se, but that means Nyx isn't going to go for a mana burn build because there's absolutely no point.
Well, I think the mana pool from Viper is still kind of low. I think he's sitting at around 350 mana-ish, maybe 400. So getting that mana burn up is, I guess, nice because I think his poison attack still costs like 20 mana.
I mean, it does.
So,
it does cost 20 mana. His ultimate does cost 125, but you're talking about a spell that scales based on intelligence multiplier.
True.
So that's not really going to affect Viper too much at all. A magic stick alone should negate that, and in my mind, that means Nyx just has to go for a full-on stun build. Not giving too much about the mana burn until he wants to start ganking. So, in general, it's just about controlling a melee hero and not being reliant on spells whatsoever. Now that we're talking about this mana, what the hell happened to OD? He got nerfed in base damage by 3. He can't get his Essence Aura procs off of items, but beyond that, he's still the same hero. Why has he been just completely falling off the grid this matchup?
Really interesting, actually. I think the not getting his mana procced or not getting his Essence Aura procced by items is a huge nerf because people really like to pick up that early buckler because it costs like 10 mana to activate, and just getting the chance of proccing like 300 mana just by using a 10 mana item is really huge. I guess that and the fact that, well, Bottle was nerfed as well,
Sure. Yeah.
It's just, I guess, a preference kind of thing. And interesting that Speed Gaming go for the Shadow Shaman. It's going to be Shadow Shaman Sing Sing.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what I was going to say. He was the one who pretty much brought it into solo mid Shadow Shaman meta. I mean, there were others, but he was the one who played it almost every game he could, and this is going to be fun to watch. Of course, the creep block in general has been buffed a little bit here and there, but ward block, sorry. But anyways, the big deal here is they needed something to go toe-to-toe with Viper. Nyx Assassin really doesn't have the tools to deal with that. So they shape up their lanes with Shadow Shaman in the mid. They'll probably dual lane they could either solo lane the Visage, or more likely they can just dual lane the Visage and Nyx and leave Luna top to be supported by Chen, or pseudo-supported while she solos. So a lot of different ways they can run this, as you can pretty much say with any of these 6.79 drafts. But as a whole, with this Sing Sing mid, I am just looking forward to how much havoc he can wreak. Anyways,
this is a really push-heavy lineup if you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
If Speed Gaming just win one team fight, they can take easily one tower, maybe two.
But they are up against two of the best turtle supports in the game, Kurokai's Earthshaker and Puppy's Coddle. I gotta say that push can't be the emphasis, because they're just gonna get wrecked if they keep on man-moning towers. But anyways, before we start things off, let's go through the rosters. Looking over at Na'Vi, we do have Dendi on the Viper on the mid lane, buying all of his regeneration for himself like a good boy. Kurokai is running that Earthshaker. There is going to be Funnick playing that Nature's Prophet. Boots first, actually. Trying to move about actively on the off lane, maybe soak up some experience from the pulls. Anyways, it's going to be Puppy on the Keeper Light, Havost again on the Night Stalker, and that turns us over to Speed Gaming.
Yeah, on the offlane it's Bone 7 on this Nyx Assassin, and not usually a offlane hero you see, but, well, new patch, new meta. Sing Sing, as we mentioned, on the Shadow Shaman in mid lane. Aoi 2000 will handle this Chen in the jungle. Eternal Envy on the safe lane as the Luna, and he will be supported by Paladai on the Visage.
Interesting matchups here. Real quick, just want to reiterate the thing that I said last game around, which is if you guys are looking for some chat, go over to Dota 2 Lounge. The match page for this matchup here does have a chat server that you can check out and get some nice back and forth, and totally deep, enthusiastic conversation about the matchup. But yeah, as far as how they're laning Bone 7, I actually really like this. We saw in the past here players like Bulba ran an attempted Nyx Assassin offlane. In this situation, he doesn't have much regen, but luckily he doesn't really need it. He has the Poor Man's Shield, and Nyx Assassin has some of the highest base HP regen in the game. I think it's 0.75 or something like that. It's just really, he's able to sustain through a lot of harassment, and that's a really big deal. But for right now, Puppy with the double damage rune, actually going to be Carapassed up immediately, and same with the Void. Holy crap, Bone 7 negating a lot right there, and yeah, he's sitting at 3.2. I don't know where my numbers came from, but yeah, 3.2 HP regen at level 1 without using a Tango, so I think he'll be A-okay down there, and that means the eyes are on the mid and top lane.
Yeah, I think, well, although mid lane, well, I guess Sing Sing, if he missteps just once, I think Dandy could easily kill him because, of course, Shadow Shaman is one of these really squishy heroes. He's also rather slow. I mean, 285, that's like nothing, basically. So if Danny just get, of course, Danny is not the fastest hero himself. He's actually at the same movement speed, but if he just gets one slow off, I think he can easily walk Sing Sing down if Sing Sing is not careful. So mid lane definitely, with a rotation from I-2000, could be spiced up very easily.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think the regen I was talking about was like base 2.5 instead, but that it does mean that Nyx Assassin will be able to sustain very effectively, and Puppies, until he's like level 3 or 4, won't be able to actually zone him out of the lane. Solo experience for Nyx Assassin, equivocated with that of Havost, he actually feels pretty confident about that matchup, and as you were saying, meanwhile the top lane is completely in favor of speed gaming, and Luna just keeps is allowed to go pretty much whatever she wants. So Eternal Envy gonna come out into the mid game with a lot of fighting items, just raw damage or durability to stay in the action. But meanwhile, Dendi doing some nice orb walking on mid, but for the most part negating the aggro of the tower. But here comes Visage to try to turn things around right here. The Ether Shock comes across, but that's not enough mana for Shackle. It means Pilotai's auto attacks alone have to finish this, but the salve keeps Dendi alive, and now Paladin dives deep, gets blocked in by the creep wave. What is he doing? He might get the kill here. Yes, he does get first blood and immediately falls after the fact. So this was still a favorable thing for speed gaming. Visage gets the experience, and Dendi does not, as well as they get the first blood. But it was so dangerous because in moving in that tree line, he guaranteed was going to die at the end of that exchange.
Yeah, and Dendi tried to go for a cute play here and eat his way out, I think, and then he decided, okay, I can also turn around and just hit him. Too bad it didn't work out, but this gives Speed Gaming an edge here in this mid lane. I mean, Sing Sing, he did even get the assist gold for that kill, so that's definitely huge for him, I think.
Yeah, dude,
and he has the level advantage now, of course.
Completely changes the momentum. And I gotta say, one thing about the skill build that I think kind of changed the results of that was he went 2 points in poison attack when there's not that much incentive to do so anymore. Now, actually, Visage is back, has the soul assumption. No, actually, he doesn't have any souls racking up just yet. Gonna try to use it right here. Dendi will survive with 14 HP. So very, very close indeed, but Paladai just forcing Dendi back with the regeneration, not actually bringing him down. Oh, attempting to, multiple times over. But anyways, as I was saying, the skill build, not going for 2 points in poison attack, which, yes, it does increase the slow. It allows you to, if you catch your opponent out of position, kill him, like you were saying, because not much movement speed on the Shadow Shaman. But the bottom line is, in that position, he was up against a, like, 20% HP Vistage, and that second point of Nether Toxin actually probably would have turned that chain of events entirely, so it's a different build-up than what I expected, and in that case, it didn't pay off for him.
Yeah, I think one point in Nether Corrosive Skin also could have worked out.
Sure.
Which he just skilled up before he got attacked from the Visage. So if he hadn't skilled that one up, I think he would have gone down to the Visage nuke. And looks like Pilodai and Aoi2000 are looking for a gank here, but they won't fight Funnick because he just rotated back to the base.
So he is safe and sound from the bottom lane, teleporting the tier 2 to try to get some experience off this creep wave and hopefully deny but the tower or the push, but it seems very difficult unless we get a puppy rotation because there's not really many tools in Funnick's arsenal to prevent this. But either way, he is going to be sitting around for the next creep wave, and at least he didn't get picked off with that smoke gank, which is a pretty big deal.
Yep, and then he decided to go for a bottle after all. So just go for the rune control, and he's looking now for Sing Sing. This is really aggressive from Dendi.
Yeah, trying to just try to get a pick off, but meanwhile they're losing towers up top lane. Tier 1 does drop down, and that's a lot of cash for Speed Gaming to kind of just start going, not 5-man Dota yet, but I could easily see in about 7 or 8 minutes time. So what do you think about the build-up? You're talking about the bottle. You're looking at the 3 points in poison attack. Do you think that's all worth it to go the kind of the classic Viper build?
Not sure. I guess going for poison attack has its benefits, but I think against this lineup I would have maybe even preferred even 2 points in corrosive skin. There's so much nuke power coming out from the enemies, with of course the Soul Assumption and Shadow Shaman, and even Bone 7 with his Impale and Mana Burn if he wants to come in and rotate. So I think maybe a more defensive build could have been nice, but he was ganked only twice, so maybe it's paying off right now.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it's the situation in the mid lane isn't just on Dendy's shoulders. It's really all about what Pilota did, and that was putting pressure out early. This is what I was talking about with the new meta, the roaming supports being even more active than they were before, and this just pretty much made it so that Sing Sing's lane was secured, despite, in my opinion, being at a disadvantage because of the matchup. So now he's closing in on his level 6, and when those wards are up, they can group up together 3 or 4 man. But right now the darkness is popped, going on Sing Sing, but no points of crippling fear. He's not going to go underneath the tier 2.
Great awareness from Speed Gaming.
Uh-oh, maybe this... Oh, the Sentry Ward comes down right on top of Kurokai. Not going to get the Fisher block. Instead, slowed. Visage trying to run. Doesn't get the opportunity, and that's going to be 1 kill. Sing Sing going for the Courier instead. Got level 6. He's not going to drop it for the Courier alone. He drops it right next to Dendy, doing a lot of damage there, but now he should fall. Trying to turn around on Hevos. He's taken some damage, but they're not microed to finish him off. So instead, the Courier lives to fall for that of Speed Gaming, putting a lot of points on the board for Na'Vi.
Once more, great awareness from Speed Gaming with that Sentry, but sadly it was just Aoi and Sing Sing, and again, Speed Gaming have a very, very squishy lineup so far. Even Luna, the carry, is really squishy before she gets BKB, so technically everyone here can be easily bursted down with a Fisher, Void, and 1 red click. So yeah, even though they had the vision there, they just couldn't stand a chance against the Fisher.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue was that they didn't get any TP rotations. I mean, they were so deep. Luna, even though she didn't have her 4th point in Lucent Beam at the time, still could have done a lot with just the level 6 Eclipse. So I really feel that if they had gotten a rotation immediately from Eternal Envy, they could have punished that a lot more significantly than they did.
True, and I'm really surprised that he didn't, because I know that Eternal Envy is one of these carries that, like, 3 minutes in he already has a TP scroll, because he knows that how important it can be when a carry rotates in. So yeah, 1 rotation could have changed the whole engagement, but it's 3-1 for Na'Vi.
Exactly. It's kind of shoulda, woulda, coulda, but in this situation, Eternal Envy is farming nicely, topping out at 56 CS, putting some pressure out on Funnick, and he will have that helm of the Dominator, and later on just some good raw agility items most likely. But in the meantime, the rune control is in favor of Na'Vi. The pressure on the mid lane has to this point been in favor of them as well, but now they do have some great wards up from the Dire. Recalling,
and
actually.
looks like someone is getting recalled, and looks like they want to go for something on the bottom lane here on Bone 7. Bone 7 though, he's level 5 already, just soaking up so much XP down here because of the new creep equilibrium, and of course the fact that they can't really kill him with just these 2 heroes, I feel. But yeah, nah, they're not going for it. Actually, Kuroki is rotating back.
Trying to make something
he's
happen.
Just picking up arcane boots.
Oh, this could be bad for him though. He just got baited into the Roche pit. The best he can do is suicide to Roche right here. There's so much disable for him. They start. Oh, they missed the Impale. It's not a point and click anymore. It's a skill shot. But I think the Hex is still going to be enough. Final damage comes through with the Soul Assumption. Right clicks and Nyx claims the kill. Actually, moving to Roche now. They have the Dark Troll Summoner. They get 1 corpse and suddenly they have a huge potential to tank this up and finish it off quickly.
Yeah, they have 3 Chen creeps and of course the Shadow Shaman wards, and this is just easy Roshan. And Na'Vi not really a lineup they can really easily contest this with, especially with Kuroki being back at base after having died. So this should be an easy Roshan. Not that Na'Vi knows about it anyway, because again they don't really have any vision up here.
Who do you give the Aegis is my question. They're leaving it on the ground for the moment. They don't have a sentry down, but I guess there's no chance for the Invis. Is it Sing Sing Aegis? Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Just obviously, you wouldn't just assume that, so I guess they just have a little bit of a debate on Skype or something before they actually made that call.
Yeah, it really felt like it. It's like Sing Sing, he didn't really expect to get the Aegis, but...
Oh, the skill shot again for Bone 7. He's not used to it. He keeps on clicking on the hero, and then the hero moves, and it targets the Vector instead. So that's actually punished him twice over, but only missed 1 kill as a result. And actually, I don't think they would have had a kill there, because there is still that phase boots and darkness available.
Oh, wow, nice Fisher.
Oh, yeah, Fisher on mid lane. They already recall in. Havos, who pops the darkness and bursts down Sing Sing. Aegis on the ground, and they can finish him off right here. They have so much slow. They have the ulti from the Viper. They're not going to even use it. Just the right clicks are there, but here comes that Eclipse. Big damage on Havos. He almost gets dropped, but he's still alive. There's the Soul Assumption to finish him off. Dendi in a bad spot, netted by the Troll Summoner. And actually, no, Visage did fall in the end to the damage over time, so a lot of damage from both Visage and the Viper, but in the end, it is a 3 for 2.
Yeah, Dendi with that corrosive skin is really tanky, even though he's just got it on level 1. He has treads as well, so he took a lot of nuke damage from the Eclipse, from Visage as well, but he withstood everything, and I gotta say, Navi, with more and more items, Visage and Nightstalk are just going to get tankier and tankier, and the lineup from Speed Gaming currently only consists of Magic Burst.
Yeah. The big thing that they need to focus on is keeping Chen alive and having the mana to use all his abilities. He only recently picked up the Mechanism. Now he has both that and Hand of God in a team fight, and he needs to use those before he gets picked off. If he can manage that, I think they'll be in better shape, but right now they're just so far behind. Also, I want to mention that they lost the Aegis moments after getting it, so that was not just 3 kills, that was an Aegis the Immortal down as well.
Yeah, that's just again because these heroes are really squishy. I mean, Sing Sing, he just went down to Fisher and then Illuminate and 2 nukes from Dendi. So, are they going for a wrap round here?
Yeah,
Might be able to get something here.
Yeah, actually they're going to go on the mid lane. Going to be revealed by the tower, but I don't think that Dendi and Kurokai can both get out of here. Maybe one, maybe the other, but a haste rune on Sing Sing says otherwise. He gets the Hex, looking for the Shackle, actually gets fogged out, so they just burst down the Earthshaker, and only now do they get in range of Dendi, who is going to get hit by the familiar stuns ×2, and that's going to be his death.
A really good rotation coming out from Sweet Gaming, and this is just once more because Navi lack vision. Do they have even one? No, they don't even have one ward up. They're just like, screw this, we're not going to put up a ward. And Speed Gaming, they know how important smokes are these days. So.
Well, that's one thing, is the smoking is so active that it's almost like the words don't matter to some extent, unless you can actually get this vision on that smoke. Actually, Kurokai getting bursted hard, disabled twice over. They pop the wards for the tower, and that is another great kill for them, guaranteeing a tier 1, guaranteeing a kill advantage at 7-6. So they're in a great position here. And yeah, as like you're saying, the supports, they haven't contributed as much. Right now, Puppey is almost to his Mechanism. He has been farming away, has found himself to be level 8, only 12.5 minutes in the game, which is pretty great for a what I would consider number 5, even though he farms more rapidly than that. But yeah, no, he has gotten levels, he has gotten gold, but we don't see it on as far as map awareness. We don't see it as far as map control.
Yeah, they finally put down a sentry, which was kind of a bit too late. But I hope that they really get that vision up, because even though they have a Night Stalker, even at nighttime, these heroes are going to have lots of troubles, especially if Speed Gaming decide to go for yet another smoke. Looking at the net worth, Luna, of course, topping that one. She's been involved in 2 tower pushes now. And yeah, again, Speed Gaming, once more smoke.
They just can't get enough of that stuff. Problematics or what have you, but they are using these towers as bait very, very effectively. All Navi wants is a tower, but they're not going to get it without a fight, and here it comes. Starting off, the Dark Troll Summoner gets the net onto Funnick. There's a great Fissure to split up the fight, though. Here comes Luna on the back end. Burst hard on Funnick. Nature Prophet already dead and can't get back into this. Now Dendi locked down with the Shackles. Lucid Beam, right clicks, they finish him off, and Havos is going to go in retreat. A nice Echo Slam, but countered by that Hand of God. They only pick up the Nyx Assassin. Here comes that Eclipse going across and bursting down that Earthshaker. Looking for one more, looking for Puppey. Movement speed might be just a little bit too much to catch, though. And actually, there is still Havos on the back end. Gets hexed up. Shackles will fly, and that should be the kill of Havos, since they did commit the Serpent Wards right here. Oh, some uphill misses the Urn, and he has that movement speed advantage to get recalled out in a moment. 6 seconds, just going to TP, and the Lucid Beam is just too late. Oh, Eternal Envy just barely misses a clutch kill. And with that, they still claim a great fight. It doesn't really change the fact that they immensely came out on top for that, and he even could deny the tier 1 mid if Aoi notices it. There it goes.
Yeah, so they successfully denied the tier 1 tower and they got 3 kills in return. Only lost support and, well, the offlaner, so very good fight for them, especially since Sing Sing was involved in most of these kills, or all of them actually. He now picks up a Blink Dagger, and Shadow Shaman mid is really one of those heroes that kind of needs to have sort of momentum going for him.
Poor Funnick, getting bursted hard. A couple more right clicks here. Funnick's going to try to do what he can to run and block. He does get that Sprout off, and it looks like he's going to be able to get out just barely, but Bun 7 will himself retreat, and they're going to make a move on the tier 1 bottom with Dendi TPing to defend.
And once more, just Speed Gaming putting up the vision here in the enemy jungle, so they just...
Oh, Puppy, bad spot to be. Tries to scout the Nyx scouts him instead, and with the Soul Deception, he is down for the count. Lucent Beam on Dendi. Right clicks are there. The Fog Vision with these familiars means there's no juking for him, and he will take a fall as well. Speed Gaming 12-8, and most likely about to claim a tier 1 unless Kurkai has another great Echo Slam in store, but not for 40 full seconds.
And this, yeah, as you mentioned, this should be a tier 1, with Keeper of the Light being down, one of the counter-push heroes in the game, and of course for Na'Vi, the only saving grace in these kind of situations. They will take this tier 1. Na'Vi does the smart thing, they have 2 heroes up on top and trying to trade. I think there's still a glyph, yeah, there's a glyph, so if they wanted to, they could delay or maybe even defend it still. But I guess Speed Gaming is just going for the second tower on the bottom lane.
So tier 1 will pop up top and down bottom, but we do see Speed Gaming continuing to make that move, as you said, on the tier 2. Roshan will be up in some period of time that is unknown, as we are looking at that random Roshan timer between 8 and 11. So that'll be maybe their next target of choice if it does spawn, but for right now their focus is elsewhere. Just trying to bring down this tower quickly. It is only rank 1 Serpent Wards, but they're doing their job, and a mechanism to negate the Illuminate should guarantee this kill. Meanwhile on top lane, doing a lot of damage, but not enough if they get the TP rotation.
Yeah, this is really annoying to, well, to defend. I mean, Serpent Wards, lots of Chen creeps, and ooh, Funnick has to be careful.
Oh, nice. Connecting with a very, very good stun, but now actually gets turned around on with the silence. He's not able to use the Carapace. Now he just vendettas away with the assistance of Aui's Hand of God. Looking for an Impale inside the trees. He gets it, and Sing Sing is there to follow up. Alley-oop indeed. They claim another kill. They defend their tower, and I can't wait to look at this gold graph. Like, it's been erratic. It's been crazy because of some great fights from Na'Vi, but now we see just Speed Gaming pulling away 100%. 3,000 experience advantage over that for gold, and they have control of the map as well. This is just getting scary for Na'Vi.
Yeah, and once more, Speed Gaming have a really momentum kind of base lineup. I mean, looking at Shadow Shaman and Nyx Assassin, both being played as cores, they really need those Blink Daggers up and running, and they do. So with this kind of mobility, it's going to be scary for Na'Vi, especially if you want to split push with like Funnick, as you could see on the top lane. It's going to be very difficult, and he doesn't even have the Shadow Blade up, so yeah, it's going to be scary few minutes for him.
And they did do some ancient stacking, were able to clear that out very recently and get some extra GPM for themselves. They've been kind of doing some good stacks with the Helmet Dominator and movement with that specifically. But right now, the great thing about Speed Gaming's lineup is it's safe to farm and just get whatever the heck they want. If they move in towards a BKB and then a Butterfly for Luna or Manta style, and move in towards maybe like an Agadim's Refresher for Shadow Shaman, they can take this to the late game hardcore. And although Na'Vi can to some extent as well, it's much more unreliable.
Yeah, I really like that Eternal Envy didn't even go straight for the BKB. He preferred to go, well, now he has it, but he went for the Helm of Dominator first. And usually you see when you play against the Luna, you kind of want to gank her early on somewhat because she's really squishy before she gets that BKB. But they couldn't punish that he went for this greedy build, sort of, and yeah, now he's got the BKB, and he's, I think, really hard to bring down, especially with the movement from Speed Gaming. They're all moving as 4 or 5. Yeah.
And that's forcing Na'Vi to group together as well. They're just farming through one jungle at a time. They're Midas and creeps. They're getting whatever gold they can, but obviously Speed Gaming is still coming out very far on top. The net worth of Luna at 9,300. And although she didn't go for a farming build, she didn't go for like a Yasha before the BKB, Eternal Envy has still found some amazing CS. 125 for him, as well as 2, 1, and 7, rotating to the fights where he was able to get the kills, with the possible exception of the very first one.
Yep, exactly. And he can still go for the Well, he's most likely going for the Yasha Manta style build. And once that is up, he's going to be really tanky himself as well. Well, quite tanky.
Another smoke attempt from Speed Gaming, but they were right underneath the ward, so I don't believe that this one is going to be very successful. And it is currently on cooldown for another 2.5 minutes. So as far as Roshan goes, not being able to smoke into the pit, just going to try to control it with D wards most likely.
Really frustrating for Speed Gaming. Oh, they just got lucky. Well, I guess maybe even 11 minutes was up. I don't know. Nah, couldn't be. But still, they got lucky. Roshan is back up, and this time around, I suppose it's going to Eternal Envy.
No, actually, I think the look was on the other end. It was a little bit before 12 minutes, so this was probably within the 8 to 9 minute respawn, which is a lot earlier than 6.78 Roshes. So worked out for them pretty nicely. They're going to claim another Roshan. We'll see what they can do with this Aegis Immortal, now picked up by Luna.
And even though Navi saw that they entered the Roche pit, they really couldn't enter. They were too far away. They would have had to TP down there, and well, Speed Gaming taking most of Navi's outer towers. Oh, next assassin. They don't have any vision. They don't have any detection either.
Oh, this is going to mean he's going to carry us in front of it, and he illuminates himself, bursting him down. Puppy's out of mana on only 300 HP. They do get the stun on Bone 7, but here comes the cavalry jumping in. A nice Echo Slam, but here's a great War Trap on Funnick. He is certainly dead. Kurokai turned into a chicken and getting drained slowly by those shackles. Puppy juking away from some familiars, and Kurokai actually going to TP away with all these disables exhausted. So in the end, it's only a 1-for-1, despite some cheeky maneuvering from Speed Gaming.
Yeah, in the mid lane, 2 BKBs activated already.
Yeah, Pavos trying to run away from this position. Test of Faith active on Luna, will just barely get away with sub 20 HP, and Aoi goes for the TP away. Nothing claimed for Dendi or Havost here, and like you said, they both popped their BKBs in that exchange.
Yeah, and somehow this messy fight, or these 2 messy fights, only had 2 casualties because everyone was able to TP away, as you mentioned, top lane. So, well, in the end, I'd still say good fight for Speed Gaming. They did force out 2 BKB charges, and they only lost the Nyx, which at this point is not that big of a deal.
So Nyx is scouting things up. They have the familiars to do a little bit of that work as well, and Luna looks like she wants to engage. Like I said, jungle engagements are her thing. All the creep wave means Echo Slams are worse, and the Eclipses and the bounces are going to be a lot better. But for right now, they do lose the opportunity to bring down tier 2 mid that was taken out by Puppy, who I am amazed survived that last fight. He started off by illuminating himself for almost max damage. He got hit by the Vendetta. It was such a great initiation from Bone 7, but Puppy had the magic wand and he wasn't their focus, so he was able to slip through their fingers. But anyways, yeah, now he has a Geometry Side mechanism, and he's going to try to turn things around pretty effectively.
And look at Eternal Envy just cleaning up on this bottom lane. And he has the Meta Style. Actually, no, it's not the Meta Style.
Nope.
I thought it was a Meta Style, but it's just an Illusion Rune. Still, he should have the Meta Style fairly soon. And once that is up, I think Speed Gaming is going to group up again and just push down the top lane.
Yep.
Well, they're actually already doing that.
It's going to be scary, though. If they don't do it fast or very gradually, they're going to have a problem. Because if they wait just 10 more seconds and they try to rush it, at that point, they're going to be clustered up into a Blink Echo. It's only a rank 1 Blink Echo, but we've already seen how effective those can be. And it is going to be very scary for Speed Gaming. So they don't see this coming. Havost wants to start things off with the Void. Slows down Pilot Eye, but instead there's a turnaround with all the units of the Chen. Havost instead pops his BKB and mans up. But Medallion is active and he's taking a lot of physical damage. It looks like they're not going to take the bait. They're going to just let him walk away with his BKB on CD. And Speed Gaming have exhausted nothing in this exchange.
I think this was a bit of a communication issue for... Oh, Funnick is going to snap the career.
Really? Okay. Yeah, TPing behind enemy lines, finds a Flying Courier, and is able to Shadow Blade out of dodge.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that was a bit of a communication issue between Navi, because Havost... It felt like they were baiting with Havost, and then Havost was like, okay, guys, there's Visage, just take him. But the rest of his team obviously is not as fast as a Night Stalker at nighttime, so I guess they wanted to disengage. Havost didn't get the memo, and he just, well, activated his BKB once more.
Well, there we go. That is dropping down to 8 seconds now. Popping that pretty prematurely in most of the engagements. I think it was necessary in at least one of those, because otherwise he would have just gotten shredded by Visage plus Chen minions specifically. But I don't know. It's just in that situation they got absolutely nothing out of it, and they're already trailing. So we'll see. Right now, 4,000 gold advantage for Speed Gaming, about 2,000 in experience. So at least Na'Vi have a good chance to rebound. Right now, they have to do so with some great initiation.
Yeah, and looking at the items on the Radiant side, Na'Vi, Dendy opting for the Aghanim Scepter, which is going to make his ultimate so much stronger, and I think he can basically spam it. Not sure what the cooldown right now is, but yeah, cooldown 12 seconds, that's basically nothing. And Revol's actually not going for the Aghanims as well, he's instead opting for what it looks like Heaven's Halberd, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great for survivability. It just allows them to actually get in the midst of the fray and do something to Luna for BKBs on cooldown. But one big thing to consider is the fact that they really aren't getting too much out of that Aghanim Scepter Viper Strike, in my opinion. I mean, it's a great item, it's core on him because it gives him so much survivability and that spam, but who's he stopping from auto-attacking with that slow? He's not really, you have to be winning the fight in order for a slow to be beneficial in chasing. Instead, it's usually used in kiting, but I mean, Luna still has a decent attack range. She still has 330, and that will be bouncing all over the place from whoever her primary target is. So unless they have perfect positioning and they get the Viper Strike on Luna, I don't think it's going to be that consequential as a slow specifically.
Yeah, but you have to also consider that the cast range is going to be improved a lot. I mean, so far it's... I'm not sure what the cast range right now is, but it's going to be 900. I think the cast range right now is 600, so they can engage with it a lot easier. And being able to spam it out on all those squishy supports, I think is going to be very valuable. And Bone 7 has to be really careful because they have a gem here on someone, I think.
Yeah, they
Actually,
did.
it's Puppy.
They did have it on Puppy, but he is up on the top lane. Actually, Kurkai taking a ton of damage here, got stunned out, and this should be enough to finish him off. No, the Eclipse bounces to everybody but Kurkai, to the point that he gets his Blink Dagger off cooldown. And now it's going to be Eternal Envy on the run, but Funnick gets scouted out by the Familiars, and there's going to be a quick BKB TP. Cleaning up one kill and walking away. Aoi 2000 going to be the only casualty here.
Yeah, that was... I gotta say, Envy is...
Oh, actually, down the bottom lane, still Dendy. Getting finished off by Sing Sing, as there was a kind of 2 versus 1 engage down there, even committing the Serpent Wards, which looked like Dendy had to eat out of. So yes, some ward block, he eats through the eastern one, and then is chased down to his demise.
But yeah, Envy probably cursing the RNG gods, because how did that Eclipse not even touch Kuroki? I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously there were a few creeps here and there, but still, it should have bounced at least once on Kuroki. It's a level 3 ultimate, yeah. So. Poor Eternal Envy. They did lose Aoi 2000 because of that, I think, because Kuroki was able to still stun Aoi before he was TPing out, so...
Sure.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It was a very close call, but in that situation, randomness, it most likely, in most situations, most games, would have put the blink on CD and immediately finished him off with something like a Lucent Beam or a couple auto attacks. So, close call, but Kurkai thanking his stars as he is able to make a little bit more impact on the fight, and maybe they can still make a comeback. But I do want to go back to my previous point just a little bit. I don't want to turn it into this whole derailment, but in my opinion, the big limitation for Na'Vi is they're not winning fights from the beginning. They have the potential to sustain win with the Viper and with the Keeper of the Light, or they have the potential to win it really, really early with a Blink Earthshaker. But as far as in the middle area where the slows and chasing potential is most effective, I really don't think we're seeing that just yet. So it may pay off, but for right now, I feel that they need a little bit more emphasis on damage in order to make things work for them.
Yeah, and it looks like Na'Vi is, feels comfortable in taking this somewhat late, because looking at how they're playing this, they're just farming all over the map, and as soon as someone TPs out, he gets almost immediately recalled when they feel that he could be ganked. So they're really making use of this Keeper of the Light. And looking at the gold graph, I mean, Na'Vi is really pulling it back, even though there hasn't been that big of an engagement in these past 2 minutes. So Na'Vi just, in terms of gold, they're really doing a great job in farming, because looking at Speed Gaming, they're almost always sticking around. It's 304. It's 304, so not really making that much going in terms of economic advantage.
Alright, Puppy's Geometry Strike not in range. They're going to get Night Stalker here with a lot of Lucent action forcing the BKB. Pop in the Darkness gets some movement speed, attack speed, but the wards are separating the fight. Havos gets a lucky bash on Bone 7, but even then it's only Nyx killing. On the front line, we see Luna doing so much more damage. They're actually able to bring down the Night Stalker. Havos buys back to get recalled in, but That damage is done. Kurokai does not have the potential to get a good echo off. But they do clean up one more. Visage will fall. Havos can't pursue underneath the tower. Kurokai lives. So buyback actually pretty crucial there, and it looks like that actually paid off for them quite nicely.
And yeah, they also got another gem, a second one, which Aoi dropped. So if they just wait out...
Bone 7 getting picked off. Not a good position for him to be in. And Havos getting the Void and then that bash. We're going to see one stone form to pull him out of there, but not really going the way of speed gaming for that engagement. Now we see the tower getting pushed down very, very quickly. And this really opens up brand new doors for Na'Vi. We've seen them come back from much more dire situations than this, and I really do believe they have the potential with that fight, on the backbone of that fight, to move forward and take this game. So we'll see, but right now they still have a lot of ground to recover, even though the gold is in their favor for the first time this game.
Yeah, and experience is about to go into their favor as well, looking at that. So Na'Vi really taking the last outer tower now from Speed Gaming, and I think with that they might be able to secure a lot of map control. They have 2 gems. Oh, re-engagement.
Oh, Kurokai getting bursted hard. Great soul assumption. Moving out. Luna using the BKB, popping the stuns, and Puppey falls as well. That is going to be a 2-0. The only thing we're looking at is the Nature's Prophet claiming the tower. And I believe Roche, yeah, they know it because of the Ogre, and now getting a little bit of armor. They're going to be able to bring this down very, very quickly.
But the issue is for Speed Gaming, even if they take the Aegis, they can't. I don't really think they can take high ground against Illuminate and the potential Blink and Echo Slam from Kuroki. How do you take high ground with that?
The best thing you can do is try to get vision, maybe with familiars, maybe with something else like the Chen Creeps man-moding up the high ground. Once you get vision, you can blink, and you can get any spell on Earthshaker. You can Shadow Shaman can jump in, hex him, either shock him, anything to put his blink on cooldown. From there, if they do what they just did on the mid lane when they go high ground, that will guarantee them the fight, in my opinion. If they don't have to worry about Echo Slam, they shouldn't have to worry about anything else. The problem is getting to the high ground in the first place, because Puppey has that sustained counter push, and really, there's nothing stopping them from just clearing wave after wave until a Pipe of Insight is on the board.
Exactly, and it doesn't really look like a pipe is going to be there anytime soon. Looking at any of these heroes, nobody's really building towards it, so I think that's really going to be a big issue, unless they win a big team fight outside the base where nobody can buy back. And if you think about the new buyback mechanisms, we haven't even talked about that, but it hasn't been an issue so far anyway.
Not too much.
Actually, Havos, he did use his buyback, so if he dies once more this time around, he's going to be dead for a long time.
It's true. Very true. Yeah, he didn't really suffer too much from the unreliable gold loss because they didn't have any time to farm, but they will, of course, have to deal with it. Eventually, his death timer will catch up with him, and that's going to be a long time without one of their most important heroes.
Yep, but yeah, the point I was making is that nobody's building towards that pipe, and as long as they don't win a fight outside the base, it's going to be, as we talked about, really difficult to breach high ground.
Yeah, but they do have Spike Carapace, they do have Blink Initiation, they still have a couple of ways they can make it work, they just have to catch Na'Vi off guard.
Yeah, but it's going to be even more difficult now that Kuroki has picked up a Force Staff. He doesn't really have to be that deep into the enemy lines. He can just hang back and just sit there and Force Staff himself and then blink Echo. So his range of initiation just became a lot bigger.
Well, the Earthshaker may have substantial range of initiation. Look at Eternal Envy's items. Doesn't even bother with the Butterfly, just upgrades the Helmet Dominator straight up. Now he has a Satanic. Now he effectively has 3 health bars with that cheese, and he just has to have the BKB active to make sure that'll stay up.
I think that's a good decision here. Looking at Na'Vi, I mean, Havos and Dendi aren't really, well, at least Havos in my mind is not really that big of a problem for Eternal Envy just yet. I think Nature's Prophet and Dendi are, but even so, the Butterfly would be negated by the Scythe of Vice from Funnick anyway.
Sure. Actually, Sing Sing, well, he has Aegis and he has an entire team at his back, so I guess that's not going to be the biggest deal to stun him up a little bit here and there. But really, in this next engagement, actually, I'll probably shut up because it's probably going to come in just a moment. Looking over, got the Kurokai cam going. He's got that Blink Dagger at the ready, looking for an opportunity. A couple of great circles, but right now just starting with the Fisher and waiting for the next creep wave to push up, perhaps. Right now, though, man, just so much damage on this tier 3 tower, and it's already down with these wards, with Luna right-clicking hard. The melee rack's now taking a ton of damage, and they're not clustered up. Kurokai has no opening just yet. Actually, Sing Sing might be picked off right here with the big damage coming out from Dendy. The Illuminate going across. They do pop the Aegis, but he's right back up in the fray. And as we mentioned, the buybacks just aren't there for the Radiant. They have the one for Funnick, and that's it. Now
they split push bottom lane. They got the melee racks.
Oh wow, actually, nice call there. Havo's going to BKB TP away successfully. And that is going to be a melee racks for a melee racks, as Nature Prophet does what he does. Just goes there, takes the tower, takes the racks, no problem at all, and yeah, that's the fact that Na'Vi delayed it out so significantly, so in the end, pretty even. Actually favorable if you count the Aegis.
Yeah, this, I gotta say, it's all about the Earthshaker, in my mind. He was able to just stall them so much with all these fissures, and keep in mind that fissure range is now enlarged by 100. So he can just stand back there and just keep fissuring them, and I think he was opting for a lot of fissure blocks right there, and he got it on the final one. So yeah, securing a kill. And this is going to be only getting tougher and tougher for Speed Gaming, because looking at Funnick's, he now has BKB as well, so he will be able to split push like a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're already seeing that at work. The Rat Dota is pretty much... They have two ways to win this. A perfect team fight or some really solid Rat Dota. And right now, Funnick, that's his middle name. He's moving, he's farming, actually in a bit of an aggressive position. But as far as Gems of True Sight, actually Bone 7 does have one. Where's Bone 7? He sees him, I believe. There it is. The stun misses, though, and now the BKB pops. He does not have a TP scroll. He's just going to go for the right clicks, and he has enough damage to bring down Bone, perhaps. Oh, there's going to be a mechanism. He's trapped inside the wards. He's netted by the summoner, and that is going to be his death. That is a huge kill for them. He doesn't have money for buyback. They're going to blink. They're going to stun. They're going to disable Havos. He has the BKB, but he doesn't get the chance to use it. Now 200 HP, 80 HP. The last right click goes through. Kurokai barely TPing away, getting recalled back to the front lines to counter push, but that was so good for Speed Gaming.
That was really good.
And it was just, I gotta say, it was aggressive position from Funnick. Like, he didn't need to be there. It was an unforced aggressive play.
Especially since I didn't have any vision into the enemy jungle. I mean, when you TP in like that, that's just like screaming to get killed. But also, I gotta say, really great individual play by Speed Gaming. I mean, not Envy. Sing Sing got a ward trap off on a BKB hero, so he had to target the ground. And with the new wards, even, I think it's gotten a bit harder. So, great play. And this is the team fight I was talking about. They had to look for.
Yeah. I actually think the ward trap is not, I wouldn't call it a given, but it is a lot easier with the current setup. If you actually look at it, there's a hole in the middle. It's designed to ward trap. So it's actually, it's pretty solid, but it was still very, very clutch. It was very, very important for them to get that kill. And now, yeah, this is time that they're not worrying about their bottom lane getting pushed up. That's time where they're farming themselves and moving into that next tier of items.
And it was also the first BKB charge from Funnick, so his BKB is also down to 9 seconds. Haval's even is down to 4 seconds, so in the future teamfights, this could be troublesome, because Haval's likes to be aggressive, and only 4 seconds left on that BKB is not very much room to play around with.
One thing that we haven't talked about this entire game as far as the Luna pick is she is one of the few heroes that remains with 1800 night vision. Actually, right now it's only Night Stalker and Luna having that much vision at night since Meepo got nerfed out and a couple others. So that means that she is one of the few that, even with darkness up, can still see quite a bit of what's going on around her, and that has actually probably made a much larger impact than we've let on. Yeah,
true. We really haven't touched upon that, but yeah, it does make a difference. And also her ultimate, I think it breaks the ultimate from... it kind of overrides the ultimate from Night Stalker.
No, that's actually so a Dota 1 bug that didn't propagate through as far as I know.
Okay.
Because in that situation, Luna was like the hardest counter to darkness, because you would just... Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. It was a mechanic where she would make her own like 6 to 8 second long nighttime, and it would immediately remove the darkness effect, which was pretty OP as a counter, but now she's kind of just
Well, it would still remain nighttime, but I'm thinking about if it removes the 25% vision nerf or vision debuff.
You got me on that one. I have absolutely no clue how darkness debuff and eclipse would interact, but hey, maybe we'll catch you next fight. Whoa, did I just see right? Yeah, that's a BKB on Keeper of the Light puppy. They really do not want to get disabled. Wow. You want survivability, you get survivability.
Yeah, definitely. 4 BKBs now up on Na'Vi, so poor Kuroki because he's probably going to be the only target that can actually hit him and Havaz, because if you think about it, Havaz only has 4 seconds left. And wow, Na'Vi, I think for the first time in this game, they're smoking up themselves.
This is not the first time. I have seen once or twice before, but this would probably be the first successful one. And honestly, it was a great position to do so. They push out the wave, they know there's no vision in that specific area, and they make their move. Now looking maybe down towards... Oh, Roshan actually would probably be the best area to try to contest.
Yeah, and both teams now have vision over that area, or at least know that Roshan is up. I guess this could be the next team fight. I'm not sure if Na'Vi should take it, because I think in that kind of clustered up, I still give the favor or the edge to Speed Gaming, even though Na'Vi has, of course, Illuminate and Echo Slam, but I think Eclipse and all the wards are going to make it tough for Na'Vi to play around that Rush Pit.
Alright, so Eternal Envy enters the pit. He does have his Butterfly. In the meantime, Dendi moves for his Heaven's Halberd. Evasion plus that opportunity to disarm a target that doesn't have BKB. So we'll see. But for right now, the Wild Wing is scouting as well as counterpushing in the fight. Engages up top. Puppy gets incinerated before he gets mech or BKB off. He has to buy back immediately, but this is Na'Vi on the defense. They have to run back. They can't get into this easily because Puppy is running from all the way back to home. But nice stuns on top of Eternal Envy. He pops the Eclipse of Havos, answers with his own BKB. A beautiful Echo Slam from Kurokai, and they're actually destroying this fight. Na'Vi turning it around hard. Dendi takes some hard harassment though, and he does get bursted. Just too much to deal with, and obviously Eternal Envy turned it around hard with that Satanic, dropping low, but just turns the other way and right-clicks everybody down. Instead, it's a buyback from the Nature's Prophet. It's the death of Dendi for 50 seconds, and this is going to be Roshan for Speed Gaming.
Yeah, the Satanic and Butterfly just... I mean, Kuroki has to be really careful, and Funnick as well. If Funnick dies now, he's going to be dead for very long.
It's very true. We'll see. Bone 7 has Blink, 2 seconds, but the gem is not on any one of them. It's actually on Pilot Eye on the back end.
Yeah, and Funnick gets recalled. But yeah, the Butterfly really turned it around, and Butterfly and Satanic, of course. So many misses from Hovost, and Eternal Envy just regened up against him. So yeah, really good fight for Speed Gaming. They have yet another Aegis and Cheese, so I think with this they can take high ground. But
they did his racks. Yep, that is that creep wave doing its job. And we do see the Ancient requiring some defense and a little bit of a pause coming through from Funnick. But yeah, I mean, in that position, it actually looked not too shabby for Na'Vi, despite how it started. Like, at first, it was crushing, losing the Blinding Light and the Mechanism, as well as a BKB Keeper Light who could stand and deliver a little bit. Losing that at the very beginning of that meant that when Prophet bought back, well, actually, no, he had his scroll. But if anybody else bought back, they couldn't be recalled back to the fight. And along with that, they were fighting 4v5. So it was very, very dire from the beginning of the fight. They do some good work with the Echo Slam. They do some great right clicks on top of the Luna. But as you mentioned, that Butterfly, the 35% evasion makes that Basher not worthless, but very hard to guarantee some lockdown. So in that position, Havost could do nothing to actually finish the job, and Luna just right clicks away.
Yeah, the idea from Na'Vi was really good. They focused so much on the Luna, with the Silence, with the Void, with the Hex, of course, and even the long-range Fisher from downtown. They tried to burst her down before she could make use of that Satanic, but sadly they didn't have enough burst damage, because I think Dendi eventually got stunned by a Familiar, and he couldn't reach Luna anymore, if I'm not mistaken. So also great play from everyone, and I thought also as well that Na'Vi could turn around with the Echo Slam Blink from Kuroki. He got 4 heroes, I think. Everyone aside from Luna in that. But somehow the Mech and the Hand of God, well, I guess, just turned it around for them.
Precisely. Now we do still need just a moment longer before we resume. But in this state of the game, we do see the experience back down below. Wow, okay. Yeah. Sing Sing. Yeah. But yeah, 2,000 experience or gold advantage in favor of Speed Gaming once more, taking on what was actually pretty large deficit, and now the huge gold experience advantage of 14,000 in their favor. So in this position, it's still Speed Gaming's game to lose. It's still Na'Vi's game to try and come back from. How do you think they're going to do it beyond just the Echo Slams as we saw?
Navi, I don't know. They really need to get more stuff, more damage output. They ideally even get the Abyssal Blade on Hvost, because if they can shut down Luna, the team fight from Speed Gaming is going to be non-existent almost, because aside from Luna, nobody's really dealing any damage, well, any physical damage anyway. And but looking how well Luna also has the Aegis right now, and of course Satanic up and running, it's going to be really tough to burst her down or to bring her down.
Real quick, do see a very cool little pickup from the Chen, picking up a Diffusal Blade. What are they looking to dispel specifically? Because there are quite a few options. You can dispel the Blinding Light. You can... I don't think you can dispel Hex, can you? I feel like I should know that, but my mind's blanking on me right now.
I'm googling it right now. I think someone said it, that Scythe of Ice can be purged. I've never tried it, to be honest. But
I mean, I know that at one point it couldn't, and then I believe they changed that. But I, for some reason, not.
It can be purged.
Okay, cool.
It can be purged.
So that's a pretty big deal. And yeah, there's just a lot of potential for them to keep Luna fighting, and that's the big deal, because you only get one Manta, you only get one BKB. If there is a cripple, if there is a Hex, if there's a Blinding Light that she has not taken care of herself with her own items, that's where Eternal Aoi 2000's got your back. Actually, Hvost has to pop BKB in a bad position here. Fully defensive BKB. It's only 4 seconds now, so it is going to be back up in 45, but wow, just going out in no man's land.
Yeah, to be honest, using that BKB at this point anymore just doesn't really matter. I mean, he's going to be down on these 4 seconds forever, unless he buys a new one, of course.
Ooh, Luna actually might lose Aegis right here if they do focus enough on him. Actually, Halberds it. And they're going to blink, initiate. Sing Sing on the front line. Big wards coming down. Dendi in a bad spot. Goes for the Shackle on Puppey, though, of all targets. But here's Luna on the front line. Bursting down with the Eclipse. The only person that, as you said, doesn't have the BKB. But now the Aegis has popped off from the Luna. Satanic is not on cooldown. So is BKB. Everything is gone for Luna, but she's still in the front line. Blinded. Losing the auto attacks, but they have enough damage to bring down Hvost. Or do they? He's caught in the trees. He is dodging auto attacks left and right. He's barely alive, and he walks away. Kurokai dropped a great Echo Slam before he fell. But is it enough to actually force them back? Dendi and Puppey on the run, getting hit by the Vendetta and getting finished off. Puppey, the last one standing besides Funnick, who really can't do anything about this push. And now the transition down to bottom lane. Speed Gaming are cleaning it up. GG WP. Speed Gaming takes game 3.
Yeah, and I gotta say, this game run, it wasn't at all one-sided. It really felt like back and forth. And Speed Gaming in the end, just gotta say, really well played. Really well played.
As a whole, a really good game. Definitely the most balanced one that we've seen, and that's kind of just how those matchups progress. People, the different teams, the different captains, learn how to better draft against the other, learn how to better react and respond and play against the other. But in the end, Speed Gaming takes it, and I gotta say it's on the back of one little item, the Smoke of Deceit. Those smoke ganks all game long, all this series, have been putting points on the board for Speed Gaming left and right, and that's in conjunction with many great decision-making individually, I think really what sold the games for them.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. The smokes really that put them in front, and they really had a lineup they kind of needed to snowball a bit to get those crucial items up, like Blink on the Shadow Shaman and Nyx Assassin, and they did because of Smoke of Deceit. Exactly.
So that is going to conclude the series. 2-1 in favor of Speed Gaming, beating out Na'Vi in this best of 3. The debut of 6.79 in competitive Dota 2 was an honor to be able to cast for you guys. We're going to have an interview with Eternal Envy coming up in just a few minutes, but real quick, some shout-outs before we conclude. Shout out to the Dota 2 Champions League for hosting this awesome game. Na'Vi and Speed Gaming both just playing very admirably, and huge respect to both of them, and they just played some great Dota. That was very fun to cast for you guys. And shout out to you as well, Skim, for casting this up with me. It was very fun to be able to do so with you. And finally, I'll just hit up the social medias. If you guys want to check me out, I'm going to be uploading these VODs on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/BlazeCasting. About 4 or 5 hours should be the total time required for that. And beyond that, you can also just follow me or provide some feedback by tweeting at me at twitter.com/BlazeCasting. And then for you, Skim?
Thanks, Blaze, for having me. And you guys can follow me on Twitter under Skim Gaming if you want to follow me. Thanks once more.
Indeed. Shout out to Dota Talk for setting up this casting opportunity for this awesome best of 3 match. And that's going to be it for us. Once again, a interview post-match with Eternal Envy. Just a few minutes, a few questions for him, and then we'll be done for the day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been an honor to cast for you guys, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.